Even worse still, will Merlin then go, oh, Universal can charge £150 a ticket? Huh, okay.
This is the Theme Park Loopy podcast.
Do we think that UK theme parks, including Alton Towers, are worried about potentially Universal UK or already reacting to Universal UK? Considering that it's not been announced yet, but I mean, we're kind of feeling like it is going to happen. What's your opinion on this?
Oh, there's got to be people in boardrooms right now, isn't there? Thinking about all the things that could happen if they were to announce it. Um, it's a completely different ball game. A Universal Park and a Merlin Park they're just two different things. Whether that means they'll attract different audiences, I don't know. Whether the Universal price, the pricing of Universal being probably a lot more expensive than the likes of going to Alton Towers for the day, whether that will maybe change the way people see theme parks in the UK. Even worse still, will Merlin then go, oh, Universal can charge £150 a ticket? Huh, okay. I'm worried that might happen. All I think that is going to come out of it is good things in the long run. I think it means that the likes of Merlin Parks will have to. They don't have a choice but to compete. And I think that's kind of a really good thing. I am a bit worried about Alton Towers with it being so far away. I think Thorpe Park people maybe would do too if they were travelling. Like theme park fans who are coming to a Universal Park likely would go to Chessington and Legoland and things like that because they all are in a similar-ish area. Alton Towers may get a little bit neglected by that market, which I'm worried about. And Alton Towers have a nostalgia issue. So all of these new rides that they're introducing, not that I would ever say no to a new Nemesis because thank God they kept it. But we're realizing now that, oh, they made a big thing about updating Hex, which all they did was put disco lights in it. I don't know if anyone's been on it yet. It literally just looks like there's disco lights in. It's great, but it's very colourful. Obviously Nemesis Reborn, which is incredible. So happy with that. I think it's amazing. Oh, they're going to redo Ripsaw now. Okay, that's great. So what happens when Oblivion's too old? Do they do Oblivion the Revenge? And they just do Oblivion again, but they paint it orange this time.
Oblivion going deeper.
Oh, hmm.
Oblivion.
No.
Oblivion. Here's a pitch. Oblivion. The bigger hole.
Yeah. There's this is the thing though. Is where do they stop? Eventually, they are, unfortunately, for us fans, going to have to replace these rides with something new, which then brings in a new audience that would go to these Universal parks and other places. So there's obviously going to be a new market coming in terms of customers to the UK, and Merlin has to respond to that in the correct way. I think they are very well with the Minecraft concept in like Chessington and stuff like that. But I don't think the people who are wanting Minecraft are also going to Universal.
Just on a slightly related note, I think Oblivion's particularly it's a weird one because it was almost like a beta for everything that came after it, like Oblivion Black Hole in Gardalands, built on that theme, made it amazing. There's other vertical drop roller coasters which are much better now. There's no real way they can retheme that and make it I don't know, because like Nemesis is such an amazing roller coaster. It just needed a bit of a clean up and make sure it rode nicely, make sure the cosmetic was all really new and shiny, and it was good to go again. That's not really the case with Oblivion, and it doesn't take up much space either. So it'd be interesting to know what they do eventually decide to do with it. But I think it's going to be a bit of a sticking point.
I think they should do a Willy Wonka overlay of the Smiler. I think that'd be pretty good. So when it's at the end of its life, do a Willy Wonka. I don't know what would be involved in that ride, but it could be fun. I used to enjoy the Willy Wonka ride that they used to have at Alton Towers. It was a pretty good ride. It was a good boat ride, at least the boat ride, and then you got to the elevator, and that was quite interesting. But I used to enjoy that, so I think we
I
need
was
more of it.
also a Willy Wonka fan. I really was. Like, I really enjoyed that dark ride. I thought it was so interesting. One of the coolest things is that it was like from memory, it was like 3 separate sections. So it was like the queue line, which had all the artwork and everything. I remember that being pretty beautiful, being like obsessing that as a kid. And then the boat ride, and then, yeah, the elevator ride. So it was like a whole experience going through it. It was great. Um, but I think X Sector in general might well see a retheme as a whole area. I mean, I think they'll keep it to X Sector, but I mean, we might well see color schemes and a refresh of the X Sector brand, lack of a better word. I think it might be more in theme with the Smiler, or do they now start saying, okay, well, what are the main storylines of each land? So Forbidden Valley, you've got Phalanx, and X Sector, you've got is obviously Ministry of Joy. And do they start then like theming their lands around the kind of main IP of a storyline that's heavily within that land? Does that kind of make sense?
Well, that would be a good way of doing it, wouldn't it? I was thinking of that. The X Sector could be the Ministry of Joy, so there could all be contraptions that are related to, creating joy or whatever based on that storyline. And then, yeah, the Phalanx could be, and I guess I guess so. The Ripsaw replacement, I believe. Brett, what's it called? Is it called the Toxinator? Is I feel like I've not got the name right.
Toxicator. Oh, is it? Toxicator. I want to say. I may be
Toxicator.
wrong on that. I haven't looked at the name in ages, but yeah, that's the name everyone is going for.
I've really not paid a massive amount of attention, but I guess if you think about it, that's almost like getting a detox after being in contact with Nemesis, basically. But then how does Galactica fit into that? So I think if anything, Galactica surely is due some sort of retheme again. And originally, the idea between Air, I believe, was that Nemesis was meant to be this intense happening, and then Air was meant to be the kind of the calm after the storm. I think that was how they sold it. I don't know if people knew that, but that was the idea behind Air and why they did it the way that they did. I don't know if that
Yeah, the
really kind of
original
connected.
the original concepts of it were actually that you were flying over the land that was ruined by Nemesis in the original concepts, and this is a part of the reasons where it all disappeared because it was being built in 2001, which some of our viewers may not have been born then. But in 2001, obviously we had 9/11, and in the concept art was the Statue of Liberty and stuff like that, which had been destroyed by Nemesis or by airstrikes or whatever it was. So that completely got shelved. I mean, I don't think it would have ever made it to that point, even regardless of 9/11, but because the budget basically paid for zero theming. But yeah, that was the sort of original concept with it. They even looked at steampunk themes for it, which were quite interesting. I have heard on the grapevine that there will be a Phalanx retheme of Air shortly.
I think there needs to be, because if they're taking on this color scheme across Forbidden Valley, it all looks so good. And certainly the Nemi section, then with the Toxinator with Subterra coming back as well, that one will fit within the Phalanx Nemi theme, right? And then at the moment you've just got Galactica now sticking out like a sore thumb. It just looks really random. So I think at the very least it needs a fresh coat of paint to at least fit within. They can literally plonk a new name on the door on the door and paint it a different shade of black, yellow, whatever they're doing, green, whatever the vibe is. But yeah.